Welcome back to NBA Cinema. So I want to shout out the podcast we're going to take this clip from, this audio from. It's the Off the Record podcast, and Shaq was on there. I'm going to put a link in the description box for you to go check out the whole episode. But basically, it got to a point in the interview where Shaq was asked about Gilbert's comments and Tracy McGrady's comments regarding Kobe Bryant, and Shaq basically came out and said he agreed with T Mac, feels like he could have won 3 titles with him as well. And so that got a lot of Kobe fans like, wait, what? Do you feel some type of way about Kobe? Why are you saying this now? Because yes, you could say you look at another player and you feel like you could have achieved those things, but you know, um, it can't be looked at as disrespectful to Kobe Bryant and the things he accomplished. And he also said that he was definitely the bus driver while Kobe was a bus rider or passenger, but he wasn't no ordinary passenger at the time. And I think, Kobe in that three-peat, there was a point where he was like up on Shaq's level, during that time. Maybe not the first title, but you start looking at those last two and the way Kobe had elevated his game, his importance was second to none on that Lakers team and very vital for their success. Now, when I look at that T Mac roster, that year he had a fat Sean Kemp. He had, obviously Grant Hill was hurt. You look at Mike Miller, he was averaging 16 a game. I'm not sure if he got traded that year, he got hurt, but Gordon Garachek became his second guy. You had Pat Garrity and people like that having to contribute. Horace Grant was old by this point, so you look at that roster, he didn't have a whole lot. If you look at T Mac's team. But we're going to get into what Shaq had to say, guys, and revisit this. Let's check it out.
Words that can be taken as negative and positive. What he said was absolutely true. But Kobe's not your average passenger. That's what makes him different. And, I can say this now, it doesn't really matter whose team it was, but don't ever get a twist on who is in charge. Don't ever in your life get it twisted on who is in charge. Okay? But now that we got that out the way, what he said was correct. But people respect Kobe. Like, it's just, but it's like you can have conversations, arguments, and you can have silly conversations. That's a silly conversation. Like, the man is vital to my 3 championships. Vital. I didn't do them by myself. Vital. At some parts of the series, more vital than me. I did what I had to do, but if he don't do what he ever do, would we have 3? Never know. Right? I'm arrogant enough to say I can get 1 by myself. 3 by myself? No way. Right? And when I left, he struggled to get back. And then what they did, they brought in 2 7-footers to equal what I was doing, which helped him get 2 more. So what Gilbert said was correct, but I think it was taken negatively. And a lot of jocks. Oh, yeah, you got 3, but you got 3 because of Shaq. And I hear the same thing. Oh, yeah, you got 3 because of Kobe. Like, I see posts all the time. Oh, y'all say Shaq carried Kobe. And they put Kobe stats in when he averaged more than me. He carried each other. 1-2 punch. I've never seen a fighter in a long time just knock out a person with one hand. And I've seen them all. I've seen them set you up, and then boom. And then sometime they set you up, and then boom. That was us. One game, I'm going to do this. One game, he going to do that. One game, we both going to do it. When it come time that we need it, I'm going to do it, and he going to do it. And what T-Mac said was correct, too. Think about that all the time. You switch our positions. Well, let me ask you think I could have got 3 with T-Mac in a row? No, let me go on the record and say T-Mac was a bad motherfucker. Yeah. But see, you got to understand when T-Mac out there by himself, he don't really have room to operate. Our guy had room to operate because I got 3 people on me. Right? I got 3 people on me.
Yeah.
T-Mac, double, quadruple, triple team. Kobe, and Kenny Smith said this all the time. Kobe didn't get double and triple team a lot. he was free to roam around and do all that stuff. So what T-Mac said, I believe to be true because T-Mac was a bad boy. What Gilbert said, I believe to be true. It was just construed probably negatively. And that's the good thing about conversations. But what? He not, but T-Mac was a bad boy. So I agree with what T-Mac said. Probably get a lot of flack, but I always say to myself, I think I could have got 3 in a row with T-Mac. I think I could have got 2 with Vince. Oh, I know I'll get 6 with Steph. Like this is because now that I'm not a player, I'm a fan, and I do what fans do.
When I look at what Shaq had to say, he definitely could have some decent points with what he said. Uh, when I look at that though, I'm looking at the tough moments, like you get in a situation where you were down to the Blazers, and the way Kobe and Shaq, mounted that comeback. I think when you get in those situations where you're down big like that to Portland, you think about the comeback culminating with the lob that was thrown. Shaq goes up way above the square and slams it down. At that point, you knew they had come back to win that game against a tough, tough Blazers team. Vince Carter, to me, never had that competitive edge, for moments like that. So everything could be equal. You could have the athletic talent, and in Vince's case, be an even more athletic player than Kobe at the time. You know what I'm saying? Um, but it's just one of those things where you got to be that dude, and you got to be locked in a different type of way. Tracy McGrady, um, I don't know. I don't know if he would be built for that situation. I do remember Tracy's game, him being like a natural facilitator. They would have him playing the point, in today's game, obviously, all the time, just with the way the best player always has the ball in his hand. So he'd be able to showcase that even more nowadays. But even when I look at Tracy McGrady, right, he always had back problems. And for those that don't know Tracy McGrady background, he was also a phenomenal pitcher. Could have pitched in the MLB. He was like that. But Tracy McGrady always had back problems. And so you have to take in consideration how healthy Kobe was in y'all top years for winning the title. So you can't even necessarily say if I replace this person one for one, then we would definitely win. There's so many variables at play. Just people being healthy and stuff like that. And Kobe having that being a straight up descendant, of Jordan as far as the game of basketball is concerned. Um, you have to kind of look at like his mentality separating himself from those guys. You see that interview where they played they were doing spot work, him and T-Mac, and Kobe remembered the score was 11-3 cuz he's trying to win all the time. And those are the type of people, when you start talking about a three-peat, and they were close to getting 4. They were close to doing something that not even Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen were able to do. Getting back there. So, and obviously Jordan could have possibly done it after the Phoenix series if he hadn't retired that next season, and also if they would have brought Phil and everybody back, they ended up having that lockout season. Jordan and them could have potentially won that shortened season. 98-99 season. I think the Spurs ended up winning that one. So against the New York Knicks with Spree and Allen Houston, I want to say. So yeah, man. I just kind of wanted to come and look at that and examine that. I think Shaq, he gonna get a little backlash for this one because people don't necessarily know where he really stands with Kobe. In some people's mind, they made up and they cool, right? And everything is water under the bridge. In other people's minds, it's like he made up with Kobe when popular opinion and public opinion started to favor Kobe again. And then when he recognized that Kobe will be cemented as more of a legend in Lakers history, he wanted to make sure he stayed attached to that. So he's pretending to want to be cool and call Kobe little brother, overly little bro him, just to keep his name synonymous with the greatness, with Kobe in a good light. Not that you'd ever be able to take away anything that he did, but wanted it to be painted as if they are a duo that's really cool with each other off the court, So that's how people kind of look at Shaq, in my opinion. And I don't know, man. I think he was just saying his true feelings, and sometimes players just don't know. They could be wrong about personnel, but obviously Shaq was the guy in LA till he wasn't, right? Because we saw that they ultimately chose Kobe. So even that, based off what they ultimately ended up doing, even Shaq being the man had a shelf life, and I don't think you could argue, after they won their third title and lost in the finals to the Detroit Pistons, that Shaq was the man no more. So somewhere after that second or third title, they were viewed as equals. And then Kobe, by the time that they lost in the finals, Kobe was the guy that they said was the guy, period. We're going to go with him over Shaq. And I don't think that's the thing you have to consider when you start talking about who was the bus driver, who was the top guy, who wasn't. Who did they ultimately choose at the end of the day? So somewhere that power dynamic began to shift, and it didn't shift all at once. So I would even say after the second title, they kind of viewed them maybe as equals going into that third title year. But when it started to go awry, you started hearing about punches getting thrown in practice. I think the Lakers are like, okay, well, we got to choose. It's going to be Kobe, the younger guy, the guy who shows commitment, is always in shape. So yeah, that's my spiel. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Till next time, peace.